Hello, people of the world. Welcome to the Come Up. Katie Porter. Hello!
Hey, thank you for your words on everything from what's going on in the world to your Bell's palsy.
Katie, how are you?
You know, we're making it through. Some days are easier than others, and some days are harder than others.
Katie and I are both from Omaha, Nebraska. And we went to high school together. I thought that people might not believe that, and so I dug in the troves and found some proof.
Oh, no. Oh, my God. We were doing Alice in Wonderland. It was a show I was actually not in. I was doing makeup for it. And on the last night, that was a picture from closing night. I put all the different designs I had done on my own face. Looks a little worse than I remember it being, but you know.
You're multifaceted. Okay. So we also have another experience that's similar to that. Katie and I did Once on This Island Junior.
This was the junior version of Once on This Island, which, if you're not familiar with the junior version of Once on This Island, takes out any mention of race. I would say a good 85% of the people, maybe more than that, honestly, were white.
Yes. It was like me and you. We were the black people.
I think you're right.
No,
right.
Yeah. I shouldn't have been able to do that show and come out of it knowing that it wasn't about race. That show specifically exists for that purpose, to have that conversation. Written by white folks, yes. However, addressing a very specific conversation within black households and society. Yeah. It's important that we as artists are always thinking about how our work is culturally coming off to the world.
I had no idea there was this whole thing about, not only race, but, specifically skin color.
If you put out the sci-fi and all these kids sign up and you got two black kids and you still sitting in that room and you're like, yeah, maybe, we should give it a shot anyway. That's also a problem, folks. You lived in LA for a while. What's super exciting to me about your time in LA is that you were able to actively work in musical theater. What was it like to navigate that world?
The theater community in LA is super, super cool. Doing theater in LA was a great training ground where there was just kind of everything from big regional houses and then doing Into the Woods, which was a super small, intimate, 50 seat house, I think. I was able to kind of get the whole regional theater experience by being in LA. And I also was able to do the Hollywood Fringe Festival. It was cool to just see, it's a show that probably would have just attracted our millennial friends, but because there were so many people of all ages doing Fringe, there would be 60-year-olds in the audience and having a great time.
For sure.
And that was super cool. It definitely made me feel like I was more connected to the LA theater community specifically.
You moved. You made the move. You finally lived the dream. You went to New York. What was the moment for you?
It sort of just fell into place. My roommates, who I had been living with, were moving in with their boyfriends. I got cast in the national tour of A Christmas Carol through Nebraska Theater Caravan. My parents were off of work, they're both teachers, and so they could help me move to New York as well. It was just kind of one of those things that just the plans kind of started falling into place.
What have you noticed as the big major differences?
What I've always said is that New Yorkers are miserable and love to tell people that they're miserable, and Angelinos are miserable and love to tell people that everything is going great. That bluntness that people talk about is very true, but I love that. I feel like there's no bullshit.
How is the grind changed from the LA life to the New York life?
The quote unquote hustle, as people like to say, is more in your face in New York. And that's definitely not to say that it doesn't happen in LA. I actually hate when people are like, oh, you just hang out in LA and you don't do anything. No, people are working their fucking asses off in LA too. If I can make it there, I can make it anywhere. It's kind of true, honestly. It really makes you figure out what is important to you and what you want to try to do and what you want your focus to be, basically, in your artistic life, because there's just so many things to choose from that it can get so overwhelming. And so that was kind of where I was heading in year 2 before the pandemic hit. I was just trying to really focus on what I wanted to do with my artistic life. I was just doing things because I felt like I had to rather than I actually wanted to. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and that's really hard in an artistic career because there's no like, you know, you do this step and then you get there. I don't want to have a career for somebody else. I want to be in charge of my own career. There's going to be things that you have to do as an actor that you don't want to do. That's just having a job. Overall, I was like, I don't want to have to answer to anybody. I want to do things that I'm passionate about. I want to work with people that I'm passionate about. And I want to try new things. I want to basically find my love for the art again, because I think I had been focusing so much on the business side of things. The whole reason we got into this is finding a way to express ourselves and express our stories. Yeah. How has that changed since the pandemic has happened? To be perfectly honest, this has been such, like, I feel like I'm able to breathe for once as far as my artistic career goes, because there isn't the industry business pressure happening right now. Rather than worrying about auditions and all of that stuff that I usually worry about, I'm just going to try to be creative. I'm going to listen to musical soundtracks. I'm going to sing for myself for once. And I'm going to start writing and all of this stuff. And so it's just been super creatively fulfilling time. Even on the days where I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to do anything today. You know what? That's fine.
That counts. Like, you haven't lost any time. No time has been lost because we're all in this moment together. You just earned a whole year to see what happens and then jump in when it's time. I have a question for you. When you are doing Zoom calls and whatnot, do you look at yourself or at the person that you're talking to?
Well, I look at myself. Even when I do the gallery view where everyone's the same size, I still end up looking at myself, and it's just I feel a little vain.
Listen, we should always know that we're the most interesting thing in the space. That's how you book.
Sure.
That's how you book.
That's great advice, kid.
So yeah. What are you writing,
Katie?
What are you working on?
I guess the correct term is a teleplay about myself. You know, write what you know. All the white guys do it, so I might as well do it too. And I sort of started writing it back in February, and then the pandemic hit, and I was like, great, I have all the time in the world now to write this. Right now, television is really pushing the boundaries as far as diversity and representation and what kind of stories we're seeing. I watched Fleabag and I watched Shrill, and just being like, oh my God, it really is kind of the Wild West now, where you can completely buck the format that has existed for like, oh, this is a comedy and this is a drama. You know, I think when I was in high school, I basically put all my eggs in the musical theater basket. Probably, to be honest, part of me at the time was like, I'm not the typical TV or movie actress because I'm, mixed and I'm plus size and all of that. And in 2010, you didn't really see that on television. It's changed so much in the last 10 years.
It has changed a lot.
And I think theater is still just kind of stuck in this slightly archaic place where it's just like, no, we're an institution and we have to tell these stories the way they've always been told. I feel like there was a little bit, and this happens at the Oscars all the time too, where it's like there'll be some big tent pole film for people of color, and we're all like, oh my God, thank God, we don't have to worry about representation anymore. And then we have 5 more years where, all the nominees are white, or it's very stereotypical stories like Green Book. I don't think television is there yet, but I think all of these different stories getting told, whereas it's still pretty limited in theater and it's still pretty limited also in movie making as well.
You'll have to come back and we'll just keep talking about things, because you're awesome, man. Yes. And the audience has spoken. They like you. Yeah! So, Katie Point, everyone. Yes! Thank you for being here.